For almost 2 years, the Noordgas team has been applying planned holistic management in an attempt to improve our hard and brittle land.
We haven't had our normal summer rains this summer. The drought was broken 2 years ago. El Nino is back in force. I've realized that farmers in this area are brave. I can understand despair and prayer. You have to be tough to sit out here and look at the veld around you and just hope that there's going to be rain, because there's nothing else other than that. There's no abundance of water. There's abundance of blue skies and goodwill. The most important thing is to continue with the grazing plan, continue with your drought reserve, destock when you have to, and then hopefully when the rains come again, you've still done work on the land with a smaller flock, so that when the rains come, the establishment of the grasses that you want comes back stronger than it was in the past. And if you keep to a grazing plan with a size of flock that the farm can cope with, when the rains come again, you've still been doing your work, and the return of grasses is greater than if you just throw the towel in. We have to work very cautiously and just remain aware all the time of what does the veld look like and how many sheep can it hold. And if it can't hold them, we have to sell them.
At the end of the growing season, with no further rains, Veronica had to sell off 10% of her sheep after painstakingly building her flock. Her initial motivation for choosing the regenerative path was to farm ethically, to do no harm to the predators and the other wild animals that still live on the veld. And it's paid off. For almost 2 years, no jackals have been sighted, but recently they've moved into view.
What we are finding now, the jackal are becoming braver, and the shepherds are seeing them around the camp at night. The dogs alert them to the jackal, but the jackal will sit and watch what's going on. Before they stayed far away.
Hulle weet hulle is rustig hier. Hulle het vry van toegang. Hier word hulle nie geplan nie. Hulle broei hier. Gisteraan vir die eerste keer van die kant was hier 1:30 gewees. Die hond het hom verwyder. Daarom nog niks geval nie. Ons pas hulle te mooi op. So, hulle sal nie gevang kry nie. Hulle hardloop hier weg nie. Hulle is gemak.
While the portable kraals kept the sheep safe at night, moving them every 2 days was hard work, but necessary to restore problem areas of the veld. It's a job the team streamlined. The gates have been made lighter, and it now takes a fraction of the time.
Dus ons aan gaan so leer as maar vergemaklik ding vir die shepherds buitekant. In plaas van 1 fytjie so met 2 hekke by jou verslag.
Johnny and Julian said in the first year, they felt that they'd been scrambling around to be efficient. They're so efficient now. They move the kraals easily, they understand the process. We can see that our kraal sites aren't working like other kraal sites, so what will happen? Time will tell. Our first year of shepherding was very much involved with moving the kraal, understanding how to shepherd the sheep. We did walk ahead and made sure there was enough grass for the sheep in the camps ahead and water. Very practical and logistic. What's happened in the second year is we've learned so much more about the grasses that our awareness is much greater. So as we walk and drive through the veld now, we're looking at things that I certainly never noticed before. Have to say my heart beats a little bit faster, because of the enormity of the task, to try and return the land to, we suspect, was more of a grassland, if you read books of old.
This region is called Bushmanland after the original inhabitants who once lived and hunted here. Even the grasses bear reference to them.
When the silky bushman grass came up, we were terribly excited. It makes a beautiful golden waving of grass over the veld, as far as the eye can see. But we learned that that is nice, but it's an indication of overgrazing in the past, and there's a different grass that we're looking for. Here's a perfect example of the silky bushman grass, which hasn't got a tuft at the bottom, which is the one that can occur when there's been overgrazing on a farm. And these two little bushes here that have got the tuft at the bottom, this is the short leg bushman grass, and these are indications of having looked well after your grazing on the farm. This is what we're striving for. Without the summer rain, this is already very dry. Most of the grass around here is the silky bushman grass, and what I'm going to try and do is take one out so we can look at its roots. And what we see on the roots is this is the glomalin, which is an aggregate of soil on the roots. It can indicate good soil health. It sequesters carbon, and it also creates environment that will protect the grass during drought periods or flood or wind erosion. So it's very, very nice to see the roots of the grass encased with this layer of soil. Bush encroachment will occur when there's been overgrazing on a property. And the grass doesn't get a time to develop very strong roots. The perennials won't last that much longer because they're destroyed very quickly, and then the bushes get a chance to come up. What we do find in the area, and it can become a prolific invader, is the Prosopius, or the Saitwesboom, which farmers were required to remove from their farms quite some years ago, but we will still find them along our riverbeds. They take a lot of water out of the ground, and they can become completely invasive. If we left it, the farm would be covered with it.
Unfortunately, the tree that stands over the graves of her forebears and that of Veronica's late husband is also an alien Prosopius and has to go.
The risk of keeping one tree like this on the farm isn't worth it. The tree has always stood as a landmark of the cemetery, but we've decided we can't keep it anymore. And I have spoken to the family, and there's just no doubt for all of us. And the question is, what else do we put there instead?
On the other hand, local indigenous trees can be very beneficial to livestock.
So we're surrounded by the camel thorn trees. We've got beautiful big old ones. They're so tough and resilient. With its pods are so nutritious, and they just fall to the ground, and the sheep love to eat them. And we find them particularly along streams.
Alles is reg, ja. Oké, nee, ek is reg. Julle ook wel, ons praat weer. Oor en uit.
When last seen, Winston was struggling to come to grips with the job of herding sheep, something his previous job as a tour guide hadn't equipped him to do.
Baie maklik, gerustig, ja. Het ook nog baie in routine gekom. So, hulle, jy het nie meer hy haas in jou nie. Daar is nie meer daai wat jy met hardklip tussen die begin, keer hier en keer daar. En jy is daar nou, hulle in routine gekom en dit is baie, dit gekom.
Today, it's only the dogs that do the running.
Maar hierin verstaan daarom, doen wat jy sê, little bit of English en Afrikaans. Dus ek kom wel hê, maar die skaap mooi druk, maar hy gaan hom nou full force kom druk. En dit is wat ek nog wil leer vir hom. Bring hulle boy, bring hulle! Slow, slow, slow! Get out! Lay down! Bruno! Kom voor boy, kom voor! Kilo, kom voor! Bruno, kom gebij! Kom voor boy!
Everything that's happened has just felt like a learning curve as we've moved along. We all started at the beginning, and if I'm talking to somebody who hasn't done it, where to start, it's equip yourself with knowledge from people that have tried and tested it.
The Nurigas team have completed 2 tough years of trial and error as they applied the regenerative method on a hard and unyielding environment. It's time to celebrate and take stock.
Wow. 2 jaar later, hier sit ons. Wat was anders wat ek geleer het in hierdie jaar as in die eerste jaar? Wat was die verskil tussen die 2 jare?
Al die vanaand, jy sê nie. Want dit wat ek gevra het gebeur. So, die wat ek nou maar gesê is, verlede jaar, het is meer reën gehad as die jaar. Maar onze veld is die jaar verbasend. Met die bietjie wat ons gekry het. En as ek kyk na die bure se veld teenoor ons veld, kan ek die groot verskil sien.
As ek terugdink, daar was benoude oomblikke van, dit was alles nuut en dat het net gevoel, sekere dae, alles gaan verkeerd. Maar dit was 'n leersame proses. En ons eerste jaar was so 'n bietjie van 'n maljaar, ons het rondgehardloop. Ons shepherds het op 'n dag 13 kilometers geloop saam met ons skaap. Wat ek wel kan sê, na ons tweede jaar het dinge baie gerieflik begin geraak van ons het baie geleer.
En elke mense wat op die plaas kom sê dat dit 'n fantastiese energie op die plaas. And I think we all know it and we all love it. So the farming is holistic in the sense that you work together well, you understand each other, we all try to understand each other. We've got to understand the grass, the soil, the sheep, the farming, looking after the sheep. En vir my is dit verwaarloos daar. En wat jy sê, ons het gewerk en die reën het nie gekom nie, maar het nog gras. En as die reën nog nie kom nie, ons gaan aanhou werk, want as die reën kom, gaan die plaas besonder lyk.
As Veronica feared, the summer rains have been well below average. But an unseasonable lake rain has transformed the veld beyond her wildest dreams. The autumn winds signal the changing season, and without any supplementary feeding, the lambs are fat and ready for market. The grazing plan has stimulated the grasses to grow and to provide all the food they need.
I'm absolutely delighted, even after 54 millimeters of rain this year, how the farm's looking, and we hope that we can get through winter without having to destock anymore.
But there is a new concern. Kraling was meant to restore patches of damaged land where the intensive hoof action of the sheep and a higher concentration of urine and dung would stimulate growth. Here in this desert landscape, it has made matters worse, creating dead zones. The dung has oxidized in the desert air and not broken down to feed the soil. This old kraal site was on poor land in an area they hoped to restore. it failed to do so.
If you look around from here, the crawling has prohibited the growth.
Nee, buite ons kraasheid is dit baie sagter.
Ja, let's just see how deep it is. A very thick course. Ja, crust.
Ons grootste doel was om die grond te herstel en dit werk nie.
Definitely not the right thing to do in this part of the world. We have to rethink it. So for us, the necessity of crowling is particularly just to protect our sheep from predators. And we have to find a way to do that because we're not using it to restore the land.
Yeah.
It's not our intention anymore. We find our grazing plan is really working well in restoring land and grass.
As they leave the old kraal site, they spot small shoots of camel thorn trees. The sheep once kept here had been eating the pods of adult trees and deposited the seeds in their dung. The germination suggests that the soil is not completely sterile, but time will tell. The enigmatic copy, known as Kurukop, with its ancient rock engravings made thousands of years ago, holds the secret of a people who once made it their seasonal home.
We often walk now and pick up old stone tools, and I think the most exciting one was picked up about 4 weeks ago. We've just walked through the farm without even thinking about what we see. It was an old Stone Age tool which indicates life more than 300,000 years ago on this farm and in this area. Try and imagine the life that people lived here, so different to what we see now. How many hundreds of thousands of years have people been roaming gently through here with the wild, free and able to drink at river streams if they were flowing in those days? It conjures a wonderful sense of peace and stability that was here. And it will never return, but we need to be aware of it and hold it close and respect it. You can stand in many places on the farm and see nothing but felt and feel the wind as it was. And that's a privilege. And in standing and feeling that and seeing the engravings and picking up artifacts, you realize it's a privilege to be here and we have to recognize it and respect it. Here's an example of a stone that would have been used for rubbing and hammering. So I marked the point here so I can find it. I haven't photographed it yet. It brings a deeper understanding of where we are. Now regenerative farming brings us to awareness that if we don't change the way we farm, there is no future for our children on land, whether it's on land like this or agricultural land. All of regenerative farming is thinking about the future. Can we restore the damage that we've created, and can we create an earth surface that's going to provide for generations to come?